What's up guys, it's Drac, and I've been meaning to do a video like this for a while. I've been meaning to do this video specifically almost all year, and I'm kind of on this kick recently where when I have the time in my upload schedule to make these videos that I think strictly benefit the community, a la my most recent Strife mod guide and some upcoming ones, I really take great satisfaction in that. I think that it's the responsibility of those with a platform to do good by that platform. So this is my ultimate comparison of a bunch of different darts as honestly and as clean cut as I can lay it out. But before we begin, some disclosures.
I, LordDraconical, have relations with every single company on this table. There are employees at each of the 4 companies represented by these manufacturers that I consider good personal friends of mine. However, I've been in no communication with any of those friends. Based on a decades-long experience with foam projectiles, I have preconceived notions about the result of this experience. However, I will be as unbiased and scientific as I possibly can. While I am not going to bust out my university's wind tunnel, all darts are new as presented and will be given equal treatment throughout the experiment in equal scenarios at equal times of day and weather. Due to the nature of this experiment, it is highly probable that one of these companies will come out on top at the end. I highly anticipate this will ruffle the feathers of the other 3 companies. I implore the people at the companies who watch my videos when addressing your superiors about the results of this experiment to be as unbiased as I am trying to be. And instead of taking it out on me, perhaps design better products at a more reasonable price. LordDraconical and its constituents are not responsible for any feelings of buyer's remorse or dysentery as a result of watching this video. Thank you.
Whew. Now, with that out of the way, let's begin the video. Alright, so we're going to go from this side to this side because I think I have these ordered from least expensive to most expensive, and I want to talk about that every step of the way. There are a couple little ethical and design pitfalls, and we're going to get to those in due time. So, let's begin with these. Hardcore foam warriors should be familiar with these, the sweet, sweet crinkle of cracking open a new pack. They come in packs of 10 as cheaply as they possibly can be packaged, and they're wrapped in those sweet, sweet Chinese packages that always make it look like you're buying a ton of drugs from overseas because they're basically just wrapped in tape. These are what the community has deemed AccuFakes, and that's because they are identical copies, and for the purposes of our testing will serve as our stand-in for AccuStrike darts, designed by Hasbro, developed with that dart tip, developed with that dart stem, same rubber, same weight, same foam. I personally believe that the people who were responsible for manufacturing the first batch of AccuStrike darts just took the mold and made 1,000,000 of them. Unfortunately, in the toy industry, this is not an unusual occurrence. I do want to just state that, yes, I buy these. All of the players at my events buy these. I personally don't feel ethically amazing about buying these, but they're decent darts that perform well and are by far the least expensive. If buying in a pack of 100, which is a number that I think is relevant for you given that that's more or less the spread that we've gone with in the maximum retail size packages here, you can buy these for 4.23 cents a dart. But it gets even better from there if you're an event organizer or if you just plan on nerfing a lot all through the summer and you really like fresh new darts every game. It's easy to accomplish that if it's built into your budget by buying them, no joke, by the 1,000. You can buy 1,000 of these for, no joke, $33.60. That's pretty standard retail for large packs of darts way back in the day, and now you get 1,000 of them. The shipping is remarkably slow. You have to do it in advance, but you get 1,000 of them, and there's no limit. You could buy 4,000, 5,000. Sometimes my batch for SE&C Wars is 10,000. I order $350 worth of darts, have them shipped for free to the United States, unpack them slowly over the course of an entire 3 months play. They are ridiculously cheap. You can get them for a little over 3 cents a dart, and that's tough to beat. Ethically, it's super duper wrong. It's very, very murky. These are carbon copies of a Hasbro product, which I assume has a patent, and it's unfortunate that they were stolen in this way, but because of that, they are an option that is available. I want to make it known that that does exist, and you can buy them, and they will function. They are the proper length, weight, and aerodynamic profile to be AccuStrike darts, so to speak. Man, I hope we don't get in trouble for laying all that honesty out there. Ethics aside, there are plenty of reasons not to buy these. You will wait forever to get them. You cannot pick them up the day of an event, and frequently, because of the way that they're shipped and how long they are shipped for, long and slow, possibly on ships from Shenzhen, 10% of them may or may not be destroyed. I've had immaculate packages show up. I've had completely destroyed packages where I've lost 20 to 30% of the darts to just being completely smushed. However, this is how we're going to be testing AccuStrike darts, which if we were testing AccuStrike darts, would be over here and then some. They are the most expensive darts you can buy on the shelf, bar none, with prices of 30 cents and higher most of the time. We have to move on because we could talk about the ethics of IP in the toy industry for literally an entire video and nobody wants to hear that. So coming in next we have these from Adventure Force or Dart Zone. These go in the Adventure Force blasters. They are the dart equivalent to the ballistic ops like rival ammunition. The profile is obviously universal for dart blasters at this point, and we'll get to that in a second. There have been mistakes in the past in that regard as well, but these are totally cross-compatible. They have a unique head geometry to them, and like they're the proper length and weight requirements to be good darts. They come unpacked like loosely in a box of 200. This box of 200 retails for $10, which means that, no joke, off the shelf you can buy these darts for 5 cents a piece. These are great darts that you can buy for 5 cents a piece, which is only a little more than the ones that you have to wait 2.5 months for and come with a lot of ethical hang-ups. These have like a waffle-esque tip to them, or a waffle dart. They're capable of compression in that regard, and they're almost unibody all the way through their construction. I think that they're pretty cool, but the tests will show us what's up. Next up we have these. These are Zuru X-Shot darts. This is a good packaging option for them. This is the 100 pack. It comes in at $10 retail, which means you're paying 10 cents a dart. 10 cents a dart puts this as a wonderful testing in between the Adventure Zone darts and the knockoff darts, as well as the genuine Hasbro darts, which are significantly more expensive. I like this price range. I think that it's super duper fair. However, we will not be testing these. I want to talk about why we won't be testing these after I mention that each one of these packages for the last like 2 years has had either Blaster Hub or Blaster Labs Dart Range Test Winner. There used to be this blog that operated as Blaster Hub, Blaster Labs. They ended up starting an about page because they were chasing the money, presumably. They were just heavily biased. It is my entirely personal individual opinion that since they never had any prevalence or contribution or even interactions with the hobbyist or Nerf community on any level, they should not have had this partnership because they were unqualified to test darts in any sort of scenario. However, they traded either this test result or what have you for this promotion, and even though their landing page contributes nothing and updates not at all anymore, it is still on all of these packages. I think that this is very misleading that when these are sitting on the shelf, this one has like an award on it claiming that it is the best from an ancient test that's not even competing against current options and like made very little sense to me. That much ado about nothing. I can tell you something from a completely unbiased perspective, which is that these darts are geometrically unsuited to our hobby. They work phenomenally well in Zuru blasters because they are built around Zuru blasters, but since our hobby has kind of established that there should be a specific geometry and length for all the things like our dart pushers, for our breeches, etc., and so forth, even though these are plentiful and inexpensive, I am still waiting desperately for them to take their unique head geometry, which I like. It's a soft foam cap with like a slightly plasticky bit behind it for weight, and I'm waiting for them to bring them into 2018 and lengthen them by just enough that they'll be optimal in all of our blasters. As a fun personal aside, their lightweight nature is also heavily reliant on this fun result. All that aside, we won't be testing them. It's not a fair comparison. They're not reliable enough in blasters to be relevant in this conversation due to that length issue. So I'm looking forward to the day that they tweak their extrusion just a little bit, lengthen them to the unfortunately Hasbro specification that everybody else has adopted, and we can use these in a variety of high-end and low-end blasters to get real results that are measurable, achievable, and relevant. For this video, there's just no point in testing a dart that I would not want to run in a variety of different systems due to that geometric issue. Nothing wrong with these darts in the blasters that they're designed for. It's just everything else in our hobby is designed for the hobby, sport, whatever you want to call nerfing like, and these are not. And then finally we get to the OG and the elephant in the room. So I remember when Elite Darts came out and replaced Streamlines, and it was huge because we finally had decent darts that performed well and were weighted forward front enough that they could perform over long ranges. The Elite Dart was a game changer. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. This is the standard by which all others are measured. However, in most industries, your innovator and originator is the best across platforms, and in terms of accuracy and performance, I highly anticipate these underperforming. We will be testing them two different ways and we will come to our own conclusion, but the first thing that we have to talk about is the price. This pack of 75 is $22, which puts these at, rounding up just a hair, 30 cents a dart, which makes these like crazy expensive compared to other things. For a visual indicator, that means that this one dart in this one package is the equivalent of these 10 in this. One shot or 10 shots. It has to be the most amazing, most accurate, best ballistic dart ever designed for that to make any sort of logistical sense. So same corollary, like it's worth 6 of these, a full magazine of these versus 1 of these. We will be testing them all in unbiased fashion, but I felt like it was important right off the bat to get those numbers out of the way so that you knew what your price options were and you could budget your ammo requirements to your build and your loadout. It's especially relevant when you're going into like the holiday season and you're looking to buy ammo for people who already have blasters or buy ammo to go with blasters. And since all of these are cross-compatible against all the blasters relevant in our hobby today, it's worth noting that their different price points extrapolate heavily over the course of deciding what kind of ammo you want to use over your nerfing career. Anyway, let's get to the test. That was a lot of talking. Alright guys, so we have been trying to step up our editing seriously recently, and normally we would jump cut this differently, but we're actually going to use super speed for some of these segments for the explicit purpose of maintaining consistency throughout the entire clip for integrity's sake. Like, if you don't trust me, I don't know why you're watching the channel, but for integrity's sake, the entire thing will be done all at once. So we have a brand new modulus Strife with brand new Duracell batteries. We'll be using that as well as this Alpha Trooper, and then we're going to pick a modified blaster, but this is a brand new Nerf Alpha Trooper. So we have a Springer and a flywheel system here. We're not gonna fool with these darts. We are gonna use the bulk packaged ones up here, which are brand new, and we're using a completely generic magazine that has no ties to any of these companies. This is not a worker magazine. This is a complete weird knockoff that we just happen to have. I don't think that the magazine affects how the darts are being chambered in any capacity, but same magazine, 10 darts each time, each test. So we'll start with our Springer test, and here we go. Why do they prime these before they put them in the package? Interestingly enough, only one high shot. Now I'm going to go back. I had one error where I missed the back end of our chronograph. So I'm going to put one more in just to get the full 10 points of data. 77. All right, elite dart time. All right, now with the Strife. Alrighty, so that is all that. Let's go ahead and get some modified blaster performance. We're going to use a modified flywheel blast, something that should achieve higher FPS. What's up, Cortana? Cortana's an AI, she'll like data. Alright, so thus concludes our FPS test. However, despite the fact that the nerfing community somewhere along the line decided that they liked FPS, I think that this was a real poor decision. The explicit focus on FPS and the detraction from range implies that muzzle velocity is all that matters, when in fact what we actually care the most about is hitting our target. And even in this short 10-15 foot shot to the brick wall and the moss behind me, you can see that not all darts are created equal, and some are veering, in fact, very far from their target, whereas some are hitting the same patch of 3 bricks each time, which means we have to do an accuracy test as well. Let's go! Alright guys, so let's explain our genius setup. Now, ghetto though it may be, like this is actually very solid, and it kind of accomplishes everything that I wanted to. So, for starters, we have a tripod that's mounted to the ground. This is an old broken tripod, but we fixed it by like literally machine fastening the broken part. Then we put a block of wood through the top. It's both fastened from the bottom where it would originally screw a camera port in, and then there's 2 decking screws through there to lock that in. Then we took more decking screws and screwed an in-strike attachment point into that. Then we obviously attached the Alpha Trooper and put the tape over just to make sure that everything was rock solid. Now we're only going to show you like the target for the sake of integrity, not the actuating of this device, but this ensures that even with a manually actuated blaster, this is going to be consistent and fine. Now how are we going to mark these things? Well, I've got wet enamel paint here, and what I'm doing is I'm taking a pretty generous amount of this, and this is going to get really dirty on the flywheel blasters, and I'm going ahead and I'm getting wet enamel paint on the tips of all of our AccuStrike darts, and I'm getting an even like single dot on each one of them so that it doesn't impact them at all. Like, I know that enamel paint has weight or whatever, but I don't think that that's a huge deal. Before you turn down range, I just want to point out that I have a laser pointer dart. It's like a dart with a laser pointer integrated into it, currently nested inside the barrel of this blaster. I'll be doing this for each one, and I'll be aligning that laser point dot with the top of the triangle downrange. That means that everything is on the same trajectory, and even if it drops because it's a Springer or it laser beams because it's Cortana, we should get accurate results to target in terms of our grouping. So I'll show you the other end of our firing range. We're exactly 25 feet away from this. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see that laser point indicator. Obviously, since it's in the chamber, we're going to have to remove it before we begin the experiment, and then the jumpy cuts will begin because this video is already way too long. So we're going to go ahead and remove the laser pointer now. So there's some issues with my test. The veracity of the test I'm actually totally okay with. The problem is the I hit my glass door with enamel dots. It's the AccuStrike darts with the Alpha Trooper at least missed the target enough. So we have 1, 2, here, I'm gonna connect the dots so that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we have 5 on target, and we'll just call this line Trooper. My marker is not very good right now, but that is the Trooper. Alright, we're gonna leave the Trooper up and we're gonna move on to our next dart. Alright, we're gonna slap this on with the Might of Zeus here. And this is Dart Zone Waffles. Alright, let's go. Oh god, alright, so we keep hitting my glass. I need something that dissolves enamel, but results were significantly better this time with 1, 2, 3. Oh man, one of them, like, we gotta be careful for the sake of integrity here. We have to pull this back and make sure that this dot here we'll change our enamel color up, but we're gonna X that off because there's a slight line there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on target. And then one of our misses was right here on the metal of my door. Oh, it's a disaster. Oh no. All right, so let's go ahead and connect those dots. New Sharpie time. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there were 8 on target. All right, excellent. So 8. And then back here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 at first. All right, let's move on to elites. My poor curtain. I'm gonna need to clean my door really bad. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, hard to say where all of these are. I know that I hit the door handle here with the Elite Trial, and I know that I hit the curtain twice. But we have 4 here as well. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's 4 with the Alpha Trooper. This has taken a long time to do, and it's gonna take an even longer time to edit. So we're actually gonna not do the modified blaster for 2 reasons. 1, I wanna save an hour of my life, and then 2, I really don't wanna put darts covered in enamel paint through my $2,000 Strife mod. So instead, we're just gonna do this in reverse with silver paint for the regular Strife. I'll show you what that setup looks like now. All right, so always on calibration dart. Gonna go ahead and throw that in the magazine so it'll sit exactly where we want it to. Go ahead and plug it in. And we're all lined up there. The Strife is locked in. It's not going anywhere. It returns to its 0 position. This time we're gonna be using silver paint. Hopefully that gives us a slightly different thing, and we'll connect the lines with a different color as well. An unfortunate side effect of this experiment is, well, this magazine not gonna be used ever again. Let's go. All right guys, so the silver is not showing up as well. I'm gonna have to put a little bit heavier on. Obviously the accuracy was not great. Flywheels just reduce accuracy overall unless they're built properly, and the standard ones that come with most manufacturers' blasters just don't do that. So we got a bunch over here, 1 down here. I can see 1 here and 1 here, and I'm pretty sure a 3rd one hit, but for the sake of integrity, I'm going to check the instant replay. But I think that's our line. We're gonna write down here like 2 or 3 question mark. But I think we got 3. All right, so we're gonna pop the Elite off, and now we're gonna fire our waffles at it and see how that goes. All right, I am not ashamed to say that I am starting to hate this experiment. Got 1 miss here. 2 misses up above. You can actually see them here and here. They're all kind of linear. This one's off to the side. So we've got 1 silver splat here, silver splat here, here, here. And these are actually interesting. The transparency of them is what makes them easier to see. Looks like just 4. Either that or 4. I thought there were more than 4, but again, like maybe they didn't transfer the silver paint is not as amazing. So we'll check that instant replay, but I think that that's 4, and we'll say 4 or 5 question mark because some of the misses are just not showing up. So we're gonna go ahead and remove our dart zone, and we should check AccuFake. Now I have a lot of success with AccuFakes and flywheel blasters, so I'm hoping that this goes pretty well. Let's go. Okay, so this one's kind of funny. We had a couple veer over here. In fact, I can see the paint from one of them. I'm gonna count this one up here. It's on the tape, but the tape is part of the paper, so that counts to there and there. Comes down here to this third one, or fourth one, over the fifth one. No direct blows, and then we'll draw directly up to there. So this one's definitely 5, and I think it's just these 5, actually. I don't think we hit it a 6th time. So let's take all of these upstairs, collect our thoughts, kind of talk about the final results of this experiment. Not surprised by it at all. Holy crap, it's gonna be a 30-minute video. Nobody's gonna watch this thing. Comment down below if you're watching this. Holy crap. Alright, so I've got all of our FPS data in front of me. You've already seen it in the video, but I kind of, like, if you watch nothing else, this last 3 minutes or 2 minutes or so should be a pretty comprehensive look at our tests. You could watch the entire video if you enjoy no copyright sounds and the sweet, sweet sound of YouTube not giving me money. But here we are with our FPS results, at least. So AccuFakes in the Alpha Trooper came in at 48.1, Adventure Force was 51, and then Elites had the highest FPS in the Alpha Trooper stock at 56. So like the Elites do shoot hard. I suspect it's because they weigh less, at least out of that slow Springer platform. And that Alpha Trooper, while it was completely stock, who knows how long it's been in storage, primed with the spring worn out. So I think that the Alpha Trooper is the best Springer, period, for like HVZ and stuff, but you do have to give it a slight tune-up. We'll talk about modded blasters in a second. As far as the Strife goes, almost not worth mentioning. Everything was between 77 and 71, with Elite Darts being the lowest at 71.1, AccuFakes being at 72, and highly consistent if memory serves. And then the Adventure Force darts coming in at 76.2. Stock Strifes are not particularly amazing. And then modified is very, very interesting. Cortana was modified with AccuFakes in mind, in terms of its cage geometry and crush and flywheel dynamics. And that proved true to form. Elite Darts performed very, very poorly in that because they're Elite Darts and they're not particularly good in flywheel systems, period. But they were not only the worst in a stock Strife, they were also the worst in my modified Strife Cortana at 134 with a full 10 FPS bump to Adventure Force darts, and then hilariously another 4 FPS up at 148 for AccuFakes. So that tells you if you're using modified blasters, I think that you want to be using Adventure Force or AccuFakes because they work better at those higher FPSs, just period. One of them is available on the store shelves, one of them is available overseas, and the prices are relatively comparable, which is why we had that whole segment up there in the beginning. And then I do want to talk about the accuracy results because they are interesting. Springer results put the Dart Zone waffle tips like way ahead with 8 hits on target and a pretty good, like, that was the black, right? So that's a really tight grouping for that. Every thing has a black diamond on it, but the grouping here is pretty tight. The grouping on the AccuFakes for Springers is also tight, but it had a little bit more drop. I think that is probably, does that make sense? That makes a little bit of sense if we look at the muzzle velocities. It shoots a little bit softer, so that stands to reason there. And then the Elite Darts performed about, like, again, Elite Darts are not accurate ammo. They are not, like, great at that. That's why the Accu Strike darts were such an amazing improvement on Hasbro's part. So they only got 4 on target. For the Alpha Trooper, they were also pretty low, and then some of them veered off. But again, still pretty tight here. Not terrible. So everything performed about as I expected. The Dart Zone overperformed for Springer accuracy, and then with flywheels is where I think Dart Zone performed better in yeah, with springers just universally, and then the AccuFakes and the Dart Zone out of a modified, or out of the stock Strife performed about the same with 4 or 5 and 5 hits. The spread on the AccuFakes is pretty big, but it's also pretty big on the Dart Zone waffles. And then, like I said, Elite darts and flywheels, particularly the non-concavity version of the stock Strife, how Hasbro injection molds those, gets one big line there because they are not awesome at coming out of those flywheel blasters. There are things that have improved that over time, like mostly Hasbro improves this with like high rate of fire blasters. You don't notice as much that you're barely hitting your target if you threw 20 darts at it out of like, say, a Hyperfire or something. And then the that's the results pretty much. I mean, I guess, like I said, you have to have a conclusion. You have to crown a winner. I'm going to take a lot of factors into account to say what I think the best darts are. I think that the best darts on this list just mathematically are, in terms of raw FPS, they're AccuFakes. And in terms of like overall performance, for money value, it's still the AccuFakes, but only if you're willing to like wait. I mean, you gotta pick a winner. That's the hardest part. So like I'm gonna roll the ethics into it as well, and I'm going to say that for this test at least, the Adventure Force darts perform the best. They are by far the most accurate. They hit my target the most. There are no ethical hangups. Like they designed those darts and manufactured those darts in-house, as far as I know, and they're cheap. They're like remarkably affordable. They are only like 1 cent more per dart. And so even if you're buying 1,000 of them, you're paying like a $10 tax to do the right thing, you know, and that's a thing worth doing, certainly. But I'm going to give it to Adventure Force. I definitely do want to shout out the AccuFake darts. Again, not a lot of people want to go onto like Taobao and order thousands and thousands of darts to get those bulk discounts. So like seriously, if you're watching this and the holiday season is coming up and you're looking to buy darts for your new Nerfer, or somebody who has a bunch of blasters, or you're prepping for like End War in the future or something like that, like for a event with a long time horizon, you could definitely go with the less ethically sound knockoff darts. But if you need darts tomorrow, I think that Walmart and Target both stock the Adventure Force darts at MSRP. They're very fairly priced. Even compared to the Zuru darts, I found them to be very, very affordable at 5 cents a dart. And it's clear that they perform by far and large better in terms of accuracy than either of their competitors on the shelf and through the mail, as well as like costing like 20% of that competition. So seriously, hats off to Dart Zone. They've been stepping up their game with the rival blaster competition. Like the Ballistic Ops stuff has been sick all throughout 2018. My top 5 lists for best and worst blasters are coming out. I highly anticipate that when I lay them out in front of me, a lot of those Adventure Force Ballistics Ops blasters are going to be on the list just because of how tremendously hard they've been hitting the value recently. And that is my completely unbiased review of darts on the market as of end of 2018. If you're wondering why we didn't do Zuru darts, check the beginning of the video. And if you have a dart type that you're like curious about, like we didn't do Streamlines because you can't buy them. We didn't do Whistler tips because we can't buy them. You didn't do Velcros because you can't buy them. So all vintage ammo was completely out. The only thing that I think was worth mentioning is that there's like a pseudo waffle tip knockoff that's around the same price as the AccuFakes, along with the Adventure Force darts. And there's like one more that I thought about testing but didn't, and it was Koosh darts. And I will tell you why. I love Koosh darts, but they are harder to find. They are the more expensive knockoff on the market now. I have not seen them in a while, and they are impossible to put little dots of enamel onto to test this. So there you have it, NIC. That is a full repertoire and test. It is as scientific as we possibly could be. Hopefully this helps some of you. If you'd like to help the channel out and you want to buy any of the darts mentioned, I'm going to put Amazon links in the description box below, and they're going to be affiliate links, and you could purchase your darts for the holiday or for 2019 through that link. It helps me out a bunch. I will put them in order of preference for me, and I don't get a kickback if you buy the fake ones, which is just a little bit more ethical sauce to drizzle on top. But much love, Nerf on, Drac out. If you're wondering why this video wasn't out on Wednesday and instead it's coming out on Thursday, it's because it took forever to make, and so sometimes they're going to be a little bit late. Mic drop.